What is the creepiest moment from Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines? Sure, many fans are quick to bring up the haunted hotel or the disfigured sewer abominations, but often forget that there's much more going on with the fear factor here than just monsters popping out of closets. There's many reasons why this is cited as one of the best immersive RPGs of all time, but as they say, the devil's in the details. And Troika's masterful storytelling is what makes this game truly immortal.
Now, I'm just as big a fan of exploding kitchens and wacky vampire hijinks as the next guy. But to sink our fangs into the truly creepiest moments in Bloodlines, we need to look past the obvious jump scares and edgy 2000s era trappings and stare deep into the details that lie just beneath the surface like a hungry Nosferatu. It's been 3 years since we last reviewed this cult classic, and since spooky season is right around the corner, we decided to take a look at some of the game's finest moments.
Oh man, wait! Say that again!
The tales weaved into Bloodlines are some of the best in horror gaming and immersive sims alike, and many of these morbid stories are heavy enough to keep you up late into the night.
Welcome to Two-Headed Hero, where we talk about RPGs, immersive sims, indie games, and everything in between. As always, if you want to join our band of blood brethren around the hero's table, we'll talk about some ways you can support us later in the video.
Oh yeah, and this probably goes without saying, but big spoilers ahead for this 21-year-old RPG. For now, let's sharpen up our favorite chomping teeth and polish our mirrors more efficiently than we ever have before as we sink our fangs deep into the creepiest moments from Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines.
My name is Boss Sauce.
And I'm Roland Coons, and together, we are the Two-Headed Hero.
Imagine sharing a night of wild passion with a new friend. You're dehydrated, probably a little hungover, and have a massive pain in your neck for some reason. All of a sudden, a bunch of bruisers kick down the door of your seedy little hotel room, stick a piece of furniture into your chest, and drag you off to some kind of undead kangaroo court quicker than you can say, Dracula. Your new friend with benefits gets the axe right in front of you, and you find yourself shoved into the streets, barely aware of the gravity of your situation. So this first date leads to your last sunrise. Out of nowhere, you're dropped into a new unlife that comes with its own set of rules that you'll be forced to abide by, and since the Vampire Prince of Los Angeles has taken a special interest in you, you're now an unwilling pawn in vampire politics beyond your understanding. And on top of all of that, you now have to drink blood to survive, but not too much blood, because committing enough unsanctioned murder will cause you to turn into a mindless, bloodthirsty beast. Without the helping hand from a smelly anarchist biker, voiced by the gravelly tones of John DiMaggio.
I find a honey for my homie, a baby for my buddy, a lady for my laddie.
You'll probably be ashes before morning, and this is just how the story begins. I mean, wow, talk about an unforgettable one-night stand, right? Yeesh. If an evening on the town and an impromptu sleepover could end with consequences way worse than just an uncomfortable visit to the clinic, well, let's just say you might be a lot safer staying home with a good book instead of roaming the world of darkness.
The gravity of your new no-pulse existence really hits home in one of the game's quieter moments. While roaming the streets of Hollywood, you bump into a familiar face from your past life. Samantha recognizes you immediately and tells you that all your friends and family have been worried sick about you. With great difficulty, you can convince her that this is just a case of mistaken identity, but more often than not, she'll ignore your protests and rush off to the nearest payphone to tell everyone you're alive. So you might be thinking, wow, a payphone. Yes, this is a 2004 game where working payphones still exist. Viewing it from now, it just makes everything feel a little bit more run down, like rustic, apocalyptic.
Yeah.
So that's cool too. Mm-hmm. But also, this is a massive no-no for the Masquerade. Said family and friends cannot know about your new unlife, or they risk being slurped up like Capri Suns by the Camarilla. So, in a melancholy moment, you're forced to either gaslight Samantha into thinking she's got it wrong and you're someone else entirely, hocus pocus her with a little vampire magic to make her forget to use the phone, or, get rid of her entirely. All in the name of the masquerade.
If you're unfamiliar with the world of darkness, you might not know that vampire lore goes far beyond the stake and coffin hammer horror kind of stuff. Vampires all belong to different clans based on their bloodlines, and each of these clans have their own special powers. This takes a real left turn the first time you encounter the Tremere Primogen, Maximilian Strauss. This bald-headed Matrix extra is, in fact, an extremely powerful vampire sorcerer. When you first walk into his mansion in the downtown district, you'll find yourself repeatedly getting lost in identical hallways, with only the occasional felt-covered couch to serve as your guide. I guess, is it more of a crushed velvet? It's probably more of a crushed velvet couch, but it's hard to say. Looks like one of them rich people couches from the Renaissance, basically.
Ain't got one of them rich people Renaissance couches over here.
No matter which ways you twist and turn in these corridors, you'll always find yourself right outside the doors of Strauss's cozy firelit library. This area is kind of a proto-version of PT, long before Kojima ever dreamed that up, and it's an effectively spooky moment. Trading some chinwags with Strauss provides a lot of insight on the roles of the clans and the hierarchy of the Camarilla, which is the main faction responsible for perpetuating the masquerade. But there's plenty that Strauss doesn't tell you. If you roam around the confusing hallway maze for long enough, you'll stumble into a study with an open book on the table. This book has the title Thaumaturgical Creatures, and it outlines several types of undead servants that can be created with flesh crafting, the dark art of using leftover body parts and spirits to create nightmarish monstrosities. This type of sorcery is the signature talent of a powerful Sabbat clan called the Semitsi. While Strauss doesn't appear to command any of these mutants himself, you'll run into entire sewers filled with these twisted examples of body horror later on. You'll even stumble into an illegal film production house that sacrifices unwitting humans in order to provide more raw material for these chilling creations. It's just kind of a shame that these nasty little two-legged guys use some cheesy big cat sound effects. Nevertheless, it's horrifying to think that the immortal creatures carrying Cain's curse could also wield powers that are so far beyond the limits and understanding of humanity.
But imagine if you hadn't been discovered by Prince Lacroix, who I like to call Prince Lacroix. You might have ended up like the Thinbloods. A group of these vampire misfits can be found bumming around on the beaches of Santa Monica, sticking together through their common bond of the vampirism disease. Thinbloods are often shunned, or even hunted, by the rest of vampire society since they're regarded as a bad omen, a portent of the weakening of the clan bloodlines. Worse yet, Thinbloods often have little or none of the power that their sires wield, meaning they get all of the bad parts of being a vampire, losing your humanity, don't get to see beach sun, with few of the benefits, which are
big, strong, eat people, sleep during day.
Sleep all day. Anyway, imagine waking up after a hot day the next day, but your favorite foods don't taste good anymore. You have a real bad thirst that you can't seem to shake off, and a severe allergy to sunlight. And a bunch of scary fanged monsters are bullying you for reasons you don't understand. Guess it could always be worse?
It could be worse. In Bloodlines, I usually choose to play as a clan Malkavian male, not just for the wacky dialogue options, but for the incredibly useful social and stealth abilities.
Yes, the moon. I have to catch the moon. I must hold her in my arms. I must tell her how much I adore her glow. Out of my way, the moon.
This does have the side effect of looking like a Seth Green impersonator that got his hair cut by a hedge trimmer, but it's still my favorite Bloodlines experience by far. Unfortunately, Malkavians are also cursed with a special type of vampiric madness. So imagine waking up the next evening just to find out that you're going to hear voices, talk like a poetry journal, and get in arguments with stop signs for the rest of your miserable unlife.
The single moment that has stuck with me through all the years since I first played Bloodlines is a quiet one. There is no gore, no jump scare, not even a dramatic spike in the soundtrack. This apartment is your personal vampire haven, There's not a lot to do in here, but you are, as a player, guaranteed a safe space to collect your thoughts, enjoy some mundanity, and turn on the TV for some ambient news. While playing as a Malkavian clan member, however, turning on the TV may cause you to be pulled into this dialogue.
Hey! Heard anything?
That's it. That's the moment. Explaining why this interaction was a surprising sort of existentially spooky requires some context. First-person shooters were, up to this point in video game history, mostly level-based games that felt like the characters and environments were awaiting the player's interaction. Remember, Bloodlines released on the same day as Half-Life 2, so think of the standard of immersion for games before that. If you have that memory, I suppose.
If you're old like us.
For example, it was quite common in earlier FPSs like Doom or Quake to use a level design trick wherein enemies would literally be waiting in shut closets for the player to trigger them by crossing a threshold, opening a particular door, etc. These worlds were built for our player avatar to experience. And although there is certainly more of an attempt to immerse the player in the world of Bloodlines, it too was largely a theme park to be explored and acted upon as we desired. With this TV man dialogue, Bloodlines subtly shatters this sense of player control. Our safest space is no longer devoid of surprises. The environment can act upon us without waiting for our playful inspection. And if this previously inanimate object suddenly has its own will to impose, who's to say which others are lurking about? What if the next has a more nefarious purpose than relating to us a mildly unsettling jape, which is in itself a parable about the illusion of control?
A tuna walks into a sushi restaurant, says to the chef, "Hey, you killed my father." Chef says to the tuna, "That's my business, fish." Tuna thinks about it, says, "Then I challenge you to a game of chess. If I win, you stop being a chef forever. And if I win," asks the chef, "you can feed me to your customers," Tuna replies. So the chef and Tuna play chess. Tunas love to play chess, so in a few moves, the chef was checkmated. "Well, looks like I win," says the tuna. Chef nods and plunges his knife into the fish's belly. "But I won," says the tuna, as he feels the knife wiggling into his guts. "So did your father," says the chef.
What was previously a theme park full of safe shadows reveals itself to be carpeted floor to ceiling, toe to tip, with millions of watching unknowable eyes. Not only did this seemingly benign dialogue break the rules of this game, the haven is safe and known, it broke the rules of games up to this point. The player is in control, and simulated for the player that which is so existentially terrifying about the concept of madness. When we can no longer rely upon our own sense of reality, how can we have agency?
Along with the curse of insanity, Malkavians also get the curse of prophecy. This can manifest in some strange ways.
The Crimson Ship. He's not who he says she is, and is going to burn. Dinosaurs. He's furious. The man with the crest. The voice in the darkness. Boss. Chinese brothers.
You might know somebody's name before they introduce themselves, for example, or catch a glimpse of the world beyond the veil. So there's a possibility that in some plane of reality, TV Man is real.
Of course he's real. He's a news guy.
Good night, and have a pleasant evening.
Imagine the eternal hell of being trapped within your own untrustworthy thoughts while still having to juggle all the rules and regulations of the Masquerade. On top of whatever neuroses and skeletons you already had rattling around in your closet to begin with. Nothing illustrates this aspect of the Malkavian curse better than the story of Therese and Jeanette Vorman, the Vampiress twins. Therese is the Baroness of Santa Monica, a cutthroat businesswoman and politician, constantly maneuvering to increase her standing with the elites of Los Angeles. Jeanette is the quintessential wild child, a nightclub owner and seductive troublemaker who continually makes herself a general nuisance for her sister. The twins decide to directly involve you in their family feud, which boils over when Therese hires a team of thugs to send you to your final sunset while she holds Jeanette at gunpoint. When you burst into the club, you finally find out the terrible truth. Therese and Jeanette don't just share the same parents, they share the same body. The sordid details of their history of abuse at the hands of their father come rushing forth like a crimson tide, revealing a mind that had split itself in two as a defense mechanism. As the tale of the Vorman twins illustrates, untreated mental illness only tends to get worse over time and can only be overcome with great effort and great empathy. Therese and Jeanette can both be reconciled if the player makes the right maneuvers, but I can't help but think that some therapy might have gone a lot further in helping the twins find peace. Seeing as the therapy field is already way overbooked for humans, I can't imagine that a lot of vampire therapists are hanging a shingle out there. I mean, the hours alone would be killer.
Bloodlines has a huge number of memorable Malkavian moments, but what if there was a frightening intelligence behind all that madness? Our special guest, Midnight Medium, has graced us with his presence to tell us all about the game's terrifying mad scientist, Alistair Grout.
Well, hello there. I'm the Midnight Medium. I like creepy things and RPGs, so I'm in the right place. Big thanks to the Two-Headed Hero guys for having me on. My favorite creepy moment from Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines is the Grout Mansion. Grout is an eloquent man of medicine who operated an asylum out of his manor. His wife suffers from an incurable disease, and once he's turned into a Malkavian vampire by one of his mad patients, he devotes his life to finding other vampires suffering like he is and attempts to cure them, as well as his own wife.
My studies proceed at a languid pace. I'm mired in a foul ennui as my wife's illness advances. My subjects grow restless without proper supervision, but I cannot pull myself back from this black depression. How many nights I've wasted now, gazing from the tower walk, pondering the frailty of existence.
He's much more coherent than most Malkavians, and even sets up his house as an elaborate sequence of riddles. But he's starting to lose his grip on the voices in his head, and his paranoia starts to make him retreat from public life into his manor for good, which is where we hope to find him. Grout's a hugely sympathetic character, and it's really tough to hear about his story through these audio logs. I also love that I recognize his voice from the Doom 3 audio logs too.
This is the audio log of Medical Supervisor Peter Raleigh, dated October 29th, 2145.
What a set of pipes on this guy. But more to the point, what's so great is not only the moving story of Dr. Grout, but that the play space so deftly reflects the tone of his story, with his completely unhinged and fantastical and creepy trappings. It's not quite as Escher as the sword level in Thief the Dark Project, but it's getting there. Patients in bondage gear and gas masks mumble to themselves in the corners unless you rouse them, and then they're out for blood. The smoky-colored lighting and the tense music just make everything feel kind of off in a bondage, Alice in Wonderland kind of way. We make our way through these mad miscreants of the manor and through twisting, convoluted traps and interlocking hallways to find Dr. Grout's wife suspended in a glass case with old-timey record player music in the background. It really reminds me of Nora Freeze from those Mr. Freeze episodes in the Batman animated series. And if that weren't darkly poetic enough, in the next room, we find the good doctor. Well, the good and dead doctor. We're too late. The kind-hearted Malkavian man of medicine has been staked to the heart, and now he lies chained to his bed forevermore. This whole section is just tragic, gothic perfection. It's not bloody or full of body horror, but full of literate melancholy amidst all of its Merovingian from the Matrix Reloaded vibes. It's one of the few areas with actual puzzles, and while one or two of them don't make a whole lot of sense, it's a welcome change of pace, and it's a decidedly memorable scenario that leaves a lot more up to your imagination than the rest of the game does.
Thanks once more to Midnight Medium for taking the time today, and if you like deep and involved essays about games, don't forget to check out the full Bloodlines review over on his channel.
Perhaps the most tragic tale in Bloodlines is the fate of Heather Poe. You can find Heather in the game early on, bleeding to death in a Santa Monica hospital bed. The doctor on duty is swamped with patients, and while he attends to another life-and-death surgery, Heather lies dying just a few rooms away. She begs for help as you approach. And if you've learned about the restorative powers of vampire blood, you can do the girl a solid and open a vein in order to save her life. Heather recovers remarkably quickly once the vamp blood goes down the hatch. Once you try to explain to her what you've done, though, she'll yell for security and get you chased out of the building. Gratitude is truly dead. So you go about your dark business, snacking on necks, blowing away the sabbat, and forgetting about the whole thing. Until one evening, just as you step out of your cab, you find Heather waiting for you downtown. Her attitude this time is decidedly different. Instead of the fear and confusion she felt lying there on the hospital bed, she admits she's spent the whole time stalking you, asking around the neighborhood if anybody's seen you, going to the same bodega you like to hang out at, even showing up on your doorstep, all in an effort to be within a werewolf's hair of your presence. See, vampire blood doesn't just heal the living, it also enslaves them. Heather describes this feeling as an overwhelming romantic love, but we all know what's really going on here. She got ghouled. So by making the choice to save her life, you've also taken away her free will and turned her into a blood junkie that's willing to do anything for just one more sip of that precious red from your wrist. It might seem pretty fun at first to have an adoring ghoul friend who dresses up for you and showers you with gifts and affection, as well as a free midnight snack whenever you please. But it starts to become a little creepier when Heather ditches her undergrad degree, gives you her college tuition money, and shuns her family in order to spend more time catering to your whims. It becomes an even bigger problem once she starts to bring dudes home and locks them in your bathroom for later.
Hey, what the hell is this shit? Let me out, goddammit! I'll kill that crazy bitch!
Leftovers. Heather's tale comes to a critical point once more late in the game. You come home one night to find her wide-eyed with fear, and she shakily reveals that she knows she's being followed during the day.
Make them stop! Get their eyes off me!
Not much of a surprise considering the body count you've racked up by this point. You can reassure Heather that she's safe under your protection, but you know deep down that you can't be everywhere at once. If you decide to keep Heather at your side, she's taken hostage by Sabbat agents and murdered later on in the game. That's not great.
That one's bad.
Or you can choose to release Heather from her servitude by doing the old vampire mind wipe, and she'll think the last few evenings were just a strange dream, although she still has a weird thirst for human blood. This results in a heartbroken Heather, but at least she'll be able to try to go back to her normal life. No matter what you do here, you must come to terms with the fact that you've made a huge mess of somebody else's life, even if your intentions were initially good. Happy endings in the world of darkness are truly few and far between.
As your toothy pale avatar rides off into the final conflict, Bloodlines leaves us with one final creepy nod. The cab driver you've been hiring to get around Los Angeles decides to strike up a conversation as you make your decisions on which leaders to trust and which ones to topple. If you mention you're a friend of Jack's, the driver heavily implies that he might be Cain, the father of all vampires. All of a sudden it clicks together. This guy's been watching you the entire time. And a mysterious friend has also been sending cryptic emails to your laptop throughout the game, revealing that they know all the big moves that have been going down in the vampire underworld. So, if you put two and two together, it seems pretty likely that these messages are from the cabbie. So yeah, what's the most powerful figure in the world of darkness decide to do with his limitless life? Oh, just shuffle people around in a yellow cab every night. You never know who you're going to get when you hire that Uber.
The Jank, I think, is the creepiest part of Bloodlines. When trading creepy tales within the world of Bloodlines, many fans are quick to bring up the haunted hotel or the twist on the vicious sibling rivalry between the Vorman twins, but often forget about the true terror of the combat system. And of course, the game-breaking bugs. Battles have always been a weak point for Bloodlines. It doesn't help that the camera wobbles around like a drunk uncle at Christmas time whenever you're shooting. Tense moments often lead to frustration as you ineffectually flail at targets that are right in front of you due to the wild amount of weapon spread. This becomes most noticeable during the excruciating Nosferatu sewer section, which is a big chain of long mazes crammed full of tough abominations. This area does absolutely nothing to change the stigma of sewer sections, which are already pretty renowned throughout gaming for their tedium and lack of originality. Sewer levels are basically a meme at this point, and no keyboard warrior, alive or undead, can deny the true terror of heavily padded level design. Oh. But the real sense of dread stems from the game's bugs. Most of these problems have been minimized or patched out completely by modding, but some of them rear their heads even today, over 20 years later. The bugs can range from minor stuff like physics bugging out, an AI not pathing correctly, or a flag not tripping the next step towards quest completion. But the most terrifying bug of all occurred during Bloodlines' launch window. Depending on your path, it was possible to fight all the way up to the top of Ventru Tower and blow away the prince's giant-sized sheriff, only for the final boss to crash your game during a cutscene, making it impossible to roll those final credits at all. Which is a real shame. How else would you enjoy this extremely era-appropriate new metal? So there's a few of our favorite creepy moments from Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. Do you have a favorite? Let us know down below.
As you can see, there are many reasons why this is cited as one of the best immersive RPGs of all time, despite its layers of jank. Fortunately, there's been a long-standing effort from the fan community to get Bloodlines to play nice on modern PCs, and it might be the best time ever to slide back into the bloody shoes of your favorite vamp.
The unofficial patch from Wesp 5 takes great strides in fixing many of the problems and optionally restores cut content that the community helped bring back to life. What's better, GOG has seen fit to make the patch available with their one-click mods project. The base game also saw a fixed pass, which means it's part of the ever-growing list of titles that received the Preserved by GOG seal of quality. It also goes on a deep sale quite often, so if this video made you feel like stalking the streets of Santa Monica once again, consider snapping it up by using our affiliate link in the description.
We hope you've enjoyed revisiting our favorite creepy memories from one of the most treasured and troubled vampire games ever made. If you'd like to show your support for our channel, consider slinking through that tavern door and pulling up a stool around the Heroes table on our Patreon.
We don't sell any of the red stuff at our little establishment, but we do spread a lot of goodwill and cheer, as well as frequent updates, exclusive content, and hosted community events, all for as little as $1 a month.
What a scene, man! Woo-wee!
You'll also get early access to our new videos when you sign up, and higher tiers get their names shouted in the credits. Just like the brave blood brethren here.
Wolfgang Bristol,
Adam Uselman,
Amelie McNamara,
Jeduzable,
James Blake,
Yaroslav Rybaki,
Jim DiFrancesco,
Vulpes,
Cameron Froment,
John Williams,
Mirek Hotovi,
San Lunette,
Thorbin Peltzer,
and all the rest. If you're a couple quarts low today, that's okay too. YouTube is becoming a rough place for creatives, so if you take the time to comment below and share the video around, Reddit, social media, bathroom stalls, whatever, it goes a lot farther than you know in helping to keep our channel alive. In the meantime, if you haven't watched our full review of Bloodlines, well, I'd say it's still a good one. Normally I like our old content about as much as I like my high school yearbook photos, so I don't say this lightly. It'll be popping up on your screen right about now.
And we'll see you on the next Two-Headed Hero!